to Time Between Times storytelling with me, Owen Staton. Thank you for joining me here once again at the Time Between Times for a tale told in a traditional way. The sun is starting to set. The moon is starting to rise. The veil between our world and the fairy world is wafer thin. Now is the time between times, the time for tales. So sit at the fire pit, look around at your friends, and let a tale wash over you like much needed warmth at this coldest time of the year. Our ghost story season has gone on the wind for just a little while. But here we are with some more of the great tales of Wales. So close your eyes if you can, relax, and let this tale take you to a place where your imagination can run wild, as I tell you the tale of the secret of King March. March ap Märchion, one of the great kings of Wales. He ruled over a great part of Wales with a fair hand and was loved by all his subjects. People would gather at his castle, Castell March, for great feasts, for dancing, for joyous occasions, and then return to their fields thinking of nothing but love for their king. But King March had a secret, and nobody knew what it was except one man, and that man had just died. The king's barber had grown ill, some say through worry and strife, and had slowly passed away. And the king needed a new barber, someone to cut his hair, someone to make him look smart. The king's hair was long and lustrous, but he always wore a crown that covered his head. Biffon was from another kingdom, a great barber of his own. He replied to the summons to come to Castell March to cut the king's hair. He rode towards the castle on his horse, a great red stallion, and arrived at the guards. They bid him enter. He entered the great hall, and there sat King March upon his throne, his head covered by his crown, his long hair running down his back. "Welcome, Biffon. I have heard you are very skilled. I wish you to cut my hair and make me look like the king that I am. But make sure you are alone, for I must tell you a secret that none do know except I. Sit down." Biffon sat in a chair in front of the king, who slowly removed his crown and pulled back his long hair. Biffon was amazed. King March had the ears of a horse. Tall, pointed, they rose up. Biffon could not believe what he was seeing. The king covered them quickly with his hair once more and looked down, almost ashamed. Biffon thought for just a fleeting moment that a tear appeared in the eye of the king. "You may cut my hair, but I swear you to secrecy, Biffon. If you ever tell a soul about my ears, I will have your head cut off, right in front of all my people, as an example to you. Do you understand?" "Yes, my lord, I understand. I won't tell a soul. I promise." Biffon cut the king's hair, and the days turned to weeks, the weeks turned to months, the months turned to years. And every week, Biffon would gather with the king, cut his hair carefully around his horse's ears. They grew to know each other, to like each other. But Biffon always held that secret. Wherever he went, people would come to him. "You spend time alone with the king. Surely there must be something he tells you." "There is nothing. I don't know anything about the king." But the secret started to eat away at Biffon. King March's secret started to make him feel on edge. Before long, there was nothing else in his mind. He was so sorely tempted to tell anybody, but he had sworn secrecy. It started to affect his health. He could not sleep. All day he would be anxious. Every time he went to see the king, he wanted to speak of the horse's ears, but he had sworn secrecy. He soon became ill. His stomach would not sit. He could not sleep. It's all he could think about. And he went to see a doctor. Biffon, I'm aware that you're obviously suffering from something to do with your mind. As a doctor, I can only say that I think you should... Well, have you got something you wish to tell me? No, well, there is something, but I've sworn secrecy. Well, let me tell you this, Biffon. If you will keep this secret to yourself, then it will surely take your life. Just like the king's last barber. Tell somebody, please, so you may become well once more. Biffon thought and thought, and eventually came up with an idea. He left the castle and went down to the marsh where the reeds did grow. He walked amongst the reeds. He could feel them brushing against his arms as he stepped in there. The water came up to his knees, but still he walked until he knelt down as the reeds blew all around him and said, The king has horse's ears. The king has horse's ears. King March has horse's ears." And then he rushed back to the castle, feeling better already. What he did not know is that the king had organised a huge feast for that very weekend. A great musician, a player of pipes called Llyr, was making his way there. But his reed pipe was starting to bend, so he decided to get a new one. He walked down to the marsh where the reeds did grow and plucked 5 reeds from where Biffon had gone and created a reed flute, a reed pipe. Made his way to King March's castle, where the people gathered at the time between times, the time when it was neither night nor day, but the sun had gone and the sky was grey. They gathered and music did play and songs were sung. The king sat on his throne. And at last his time had come, and Llyr stood up to play his reed pipe and started to blow. The king has horse's ears. The king has horse's ears. King March has horse's ears. A silence fell over the whole castle. The reed pipe would not play any music, but only told the secret that Biffon had said. King March rose from his throne and strode down. "Who speaketh this? You Llyr musician!" He brought his sword from its scabbard and held it high. "You will die, my lord, my lord! It is not me, it is my reed pipe, please. Try yourself." The king blew on the pipe. King March has horse's ears. but it speaks in the voice of my barber. Biffon, come here! Biffon strode up and knew that his life was about to end. The king brought his sword up high. A hush descended over the audience. But just as the king was about to lower his sword, he started to laugh and laugh and laugh. He pulled off his crown, brushed back his hair, and showed everyone his horse's ears. Everybody laughed along with the king. He dropped his sword on the ground, picked up Biffon from where he sat, and bade him join him to continue the feast. And from that day on, everybody knew the king had horse's ears, but nobody cared, for his wisdom was such, his kindness was such, that they could not look beyond the person to see what was inside. King Mark was a great king with horse's ears. And that, my friends, is the story of the secret of King Mark. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for making this channel what it is, getting stronger by the day with more subscribers. Please show it to someone who may like tales told in a traditional way. I have the podcast, Time Between Times Storytelling, as well. Please have a look at that. I also post some mindful listens on there. Just small bits of tales that will help you relax. Just let your mind go and listen. If you wish to support me on Ko-fi, buy me a coffee, that would be very much appreciated. It's kofi.com/Owen Staton. I release a tale every week on the videos and also another tale on the podcasts. So please, whenever you wish to join me, you are more than welcome to do so. Follow me on Twitter. Send me an email. Your comments are most welcome. So until next time, take care of yourself and join me again at the Time Between Times. Diolch yn fawr.